Welcome back to the On Adventure podcast. I'm Josh Self, and I'll be your host. On this episode of On Adventure, I'm joined by mental performance coach Jess Hanson, who takes us inside the psychology of pushing past your own limits. On the trail, in competition, and in life in general. From coaching elite athletes to running her own 100K ultramarathons, Jess shares powerful insights into what it takes to train your brain for resilience, confidence, and grit. And here's a fun twist. Her dad, Scott Hanson, joined us back on episode 36. So now it's Jess's turn to share how her own adventures are reshaping what it means to perform at your peak. Stick around for this one. It's packed with mental fuel for anyone chasing big goals. Jess Hanson, welcome to the On Adventure podcast. And
Thank you.
This is a fun way to spend a Friday morning.
Yeah.
And for anyone that is listening, you are Hanson 2.0 on the podcast. Your dad was on an earlier episode. And in fact, you may not have seen this, but in the cover art of his episode, you're in that picture.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I haven't seen that.
He sent me one of, it may not have been in the cover art. It may have been in the show notes page, but there was a picture of you guys hiking, I think it was Mount Fuji. And kind of a group selfie on the mountain. And so anyway, you've been on the podcast even before you realized you were on the podcast.
Love it.
So, so tell folks a little bit about who you are and where you're at and what you spend your time doing these days.
Yeah. So I'm Jess. I am a certified mental performance consultant, which is through the Association for Applied Sport Psychology. I have my master's in sports psychology, and I full-time work with athletes on all of the mental sides of sport. And so my like big background is in lacrosse. I played lacrosse in college. I coach lacrosse now too. So I work with a lot of like field sports like lacrosse, soccer, ice hockey, stuff like that. But then a lot of what I do too, and a lot of what I love is also working with the adventure athletes. So I work with also a good amount of skiers, mountain bikers, ultra runners, things like that. And those sports are what I'm passionate most about now. I'm a big skier. I'm a big ultra runner. I love doing anything outdoors in the mountains that's going to push me to my limits. And it's really fun to be able to work with athletes from that perspective too.
That's cool. So when you work with these folks, is it like you're putting together training plans, or is it more kind of mindset therapy kind of based?
More mindset therapy based. A lot of my sessions feel like therapy sessions with athletes. So kind of talking about just things within their sport, highs, lows, how to work through those lows, a lot of mindset stuff and working through all that, helping them figure out how to perform at their highest potential using their mind to help them do so. And a lot of that is just through talk therapy.
Why do you think that's useful? Like maybe another way to say is why is talking about it a successful way to expand the limits of possibility?
Yeah. Well, I think the purpose of talking about it is every athlete is so different. I could just like give them resources and things to do in practice, but it's not guaranteed to work for everyone. And I'm so big too on, okay, if you're having issues with your confidence or performance anxiety or consistency or stuff like that, I think it's so important to get to the root of it first and figure out where that's coming from versus just like slapping a Band-Aid on it and hoping it's fine going forward.
Do you see general themes about where those things come from with high performing athletes, or is it all over the board?
General themes for sure. I think a lot of athletes are insane perfectionists. And so I think that's a big bottom line of it all. I think kind of where that comes from is different athlete to athlete. So it depends a little bit.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about your sports background. You said you played lacrosse, but what was that like growing up? I mean, were you like all in on the job of sport, or were you kind of doing all? Not really. Okay.
I mean, I played sports all growing up. I was super athletic. I loved sports. My family always encouraged me to do sports. They never like pushed me very hard, which I think was a good thing. I was never put under all this pressure by my parents, but I kind of played every sport under the sun. Soccer was kind of my big one growing up. And then at the end of middle school, I was kind of looking for something new. My brother had played lacrosse for a while. And so I decided to try lacrosse, and I just kind of fell in love with it. I think I really liked at that young age that it was a sport that not many people did. And I kind of liked doing something a little bit different, which was fun.
Okay. All right.
I didn't find myself getting very good at it super early on either. I remember my first year. I mean, it's tough. Like learning how to catch and throw with a lacrosse stick isn't that easy. And so it kind of took a while to get the hang of things. And then my freshman year of high school, I decided to play goalie for some reason. I don't really know why. I was not very good at it. So I played goalie my whole freshman year. And then I switched to being an attacker. So I think I learned from being a goalie how attackers can move and shoot and get themselves open. And so I switched to that. And that's when I kind of saw it take off and I started to prioritize it a little bit more. I started playing club. I never really saw it as something I would do beyond high school. I never really wanted to do it beyond high school. No one was really telling me that I should or could. And so I kind of avoided it. And then I think it was like end of my senior year. So I was almost done with my lacrosse career and I was like, oh, I don't want to be finished doing this. And I kind of had to like figure out a solution to keep playing in college. Because back then it's not like you have all this film and you can put together some highlights to send to some colleges. We didn't have much of that. It's like I wasn't looked at by anyone. And so I went to play club my freshman year, and then I transferred to play D3 after that, which was great. I think it was a great fit. It's still hard. I'd say I don't like to have regrets in life, but one of my biggest like regrets, if I had to have one, would be not seeing what potential I could have done with that, because I think I could have played at a much higher level. But also I look at it too, like I wouldn't be where I am today and have the knowledge that I do if that wasn't my journey either. So yeah, that's like my big background of lacrosse. And then through all that too, growing up, the one thing my parents did love to push us to do is do the outdoor adventurous activities. And so they were always dragging us on trips to do that stuff. I was, for a long time, I was kind of at the age where like none of that was cool. And I'm like, if mom and dad wants to do it, that's not cool. And I think just sometime in college, I started to find an appreciation for it a little bit more. I would live in Tahoe in my summers, and out there, it's kind of like, it's the cool thing to be able to do the adventurous stuff. And so I think that's when I finally started buying into it a little bit more and started doing some cool stuff with my dad, like climbing Mount Fuji. We climbed the Grand Teton, stuff like that. I was actually excited to do it for once. And so I think that's where my love for that kind of trickled in. And then it just got so much more heightened when I finished my lacrosse career and had kind of that desire to keep doing more and keep pushing myself more.
Yeah. So lacrosse was a way to physically push yourself to do and get better at doing the thing. And then when that was gone, was that, I hear a lot of, for whether it's college athletes or professional athletes, like it stops for everybody at some point. And some folks transition out of that better than others.
Yes.
So was it an identity crisis for you, or were you ready for the next thing?
I think it's still an identity crisis a little bit. Like I don't know, like I can't get out of coaching because I just like can't. I keep feeling like I need to be involved in the sport. And so, yeah, I think it was more just not me being ready at all to let it go and just like almost desperately needing to find something else to do, which isn't a bad thing. I think I've filled that void well, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. So tell me, I spent a summer in Tahoe in college, and still to this day, it's one of my favorite places in the world.
Yeah.
So what kind of stuff do you like doing around Lake Tahoe? And like, give me specific areas.
Yeah. Okay. Back when I would live there in the summers, I would just hike a lot. Me and my friends would hike everywhere. I know like Lake Aloha is one of my favorite places on the planet, which is at the base of Mount Talac. And so me and my friends would hike that very often, or just find any trail that we could. Like we'd be obsessed with all trails and like hitting every single trail that we could as much as possible.
That's in Desolation Wilderness?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So typically that whole west side of the lake is where I love to explore as much as possible. So during the summer, there's a lot of that, a lot of hiking, a lot of just spending the time on the water too, which was so fun. And those were some of my favorite summers ever. It was like summer camp all the time. Yeah.
Which that water is very cold all the time.
Yeah. It's so good though. It's so nice.
Yeah. I remember that, June, July, and the middle of that summer, I was out there and it's still 53 degrees or something crazy in the lake.
Yeah.
In fact, that summer I worked manual labor at Fallen Leaf Lake.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I was outside all the time, sweating. Yeah. It was like in the best shape of my life. But also the moment at the end of that summer where I was like, I want to use my brain for my job, rather than my body every single day. And so I went back to school with a renewed focus. But man, what an amazing place to be able to be outside every day in the summer.
So
and
amazing.
The sunsets there, I still haven't found anything to match it with the way the clouds light up over the
Yeah.
mountains.
Yeah.
It's like another world. So
Yeah. There's like a few spots that we'd always go to. There's this big rock on the other side of the lake. We'd always drive over there and climb up to the rock and watch the sunset. It was the best. So fun.
like near the heavenly side of the lake.
Yes. What's it called? Bonsai Rock. There's some rock
Ozark.
in it, I
Okay.
think. Yeah. Yeah. Out in the middle of the water, and we'd go sit there and watch the sunset because it's
That's
better
cool.
from the only thing that's better on the east side of the lake is the sunsets.
But your preference is the west side of the lake.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. Do you like skiing? Do you do really big backcountry stuff or helicopter skiing? What do you enjoy doing?
Yeah. My dad started taking me heli skiing a few years ago, which has been the best. And we've gone every year since then, which
Oh,
is
really?
so amazing. Yeah. We had a trip just a few weeks ago. We were up outside of Revelstoke in BC.
Wow.
Yeah. So cool. So fun. I actually, in middle school, so I grew up skiing. I switched to snowboarding in middle school because I, again, just was like defiant and wanted to do something different than my parents.
That's what rebels do. They ride
I-
snowboards, not skis.
I know. And so I snowboarded for like 10 years. And then when I moved out to Colorado, that's when I kind of realized I probably should get back into skiing. It's harder to keep up on a snowboard sometimes. And so
Yeah.
I've really only been skiing again for like 7 seasons now. But that's been another fun thing to push myself. Like I ski with some really good skiers out here and have forced myself to kind of get back into the hang of things. And it's so fun. It's one of my favorite things ever. And so heli skiing's the best. I've started getting into backcountry a little bit more. I just got my IVD certification a few weeks ago, actually. So
Okay.
yeah, excited to be a bit more educated on that.
Very important.
Yep.
That's definitely a danger point. So when whether it's heli skiing or backcountry or even, tall peaks on a resort,
Yeah.
do you, is there a sense of fear at any point, or do you still feel, is it comfortable enough that fear doesn't really creep in, I guess is a way to ask it.
Fear creeps in for sure.
Okay.
I mean, again, the people I ski with are really good skiers, and so they take me down and off stuff that I'm not always comfortable with. But I also truly try to embrace the mindset of like, if it's not scaring me, I'm not pushing myself enough. And that's the only way I'm going to get better is by doing that stuff. And so I've always been like a little, whether it be like hikes on the side of a exposed ridge or anything like that, I'm always timid of that stuff, but
Really? Okay.
try to force myself through it as much as I can.
Yeah. I mean, it goes right to an illustration I use in even trying to describe these podcast conversations is, when when we get the tips of a skis over the edge, and you got a decision of either the shame walk back to the gondola to go back down the mountain, or you drop in and
Yeah.
have that sense of weightlessness and out of controlness.
Yeah.
What does it take to choose that? So I guess that's a question for you is how, whether it's skiing or anything else that you do, how do you get yourself to drop the skis down and over the cliff?
I think I have this like mantra that I have with myself.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
if it's not going to kill me, then I'm just going to do it. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? If it's going to kill me, or if like I'm really putting myself at risk, then those are the situation I will let myself back out of sometimes. But if I'm going to survive, then why not?
How do you know it's not going to kill you though? Like, is there you have a
Well,
checklist you go through, or is it just a
no.
gut feel that?
I think more of a gut feeling. I'm pretty cautious. So I think I'm not the first person to just be like, oh, it's safe, it's fine. I'm usually one of the first to say this is a little scary. Yeah.
And maybe that peer support gives encouragement to push it a little bit further.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Anything that feels too scary to, I always make someone else go first. I will never volunteer. So I need to watch someone else survive first, and then I can commit to it.
Do you have siblings?
Yeah, I'm the oldest of 4.
You're the oldest. That makes so much sense to me. That makes
Send
so
the little
much
ones first.
Yes. You get to the third or fourth kid, if there's that many in a family, and they're like, whatever, let's go.
Yeah.
I'm the first too. Like it's all in my head, overthinking and overanalyzing all the possibilities. So
Yeah.
that's cool. So skiing, you're coaching lacrosse. Oh, you mentioned ultra running. Yeah, I definitely want to
Yeah.
talk about that. That's something I'm super interested in. Where did that start? Because a lot of times with youth sports specifically, especially with lacrosse, you're running all the time. And a
Yeah.
lot of times the running, maybe this is just back in my day, like running was punishment. Running
Yeah.
was,
Yeah.
not the thing that you look forward to with practice. So
Yeah.
have you always enjoyed running or was
No.
that okay? All right.
Definitely not. Even in college, I probably should have been a midi, and I purposely would not run at all so that I wouldn't pass our fitness test so that our coach couldn't make me a midi. Like I hated it. And I'm like, you
Okay.
cannot force me to run up and down the field. I think I don't really know what got me into it. In college, my senior year of college, I ran my first marathon. And I remember my first half marathon, I signed up for it because one time I went on a run, just like a jog around the neighborhood. My roommate locked me out. And so I was stuck outside. I was like, I might as well just keep running right now. And so I kept running and I ended up running like 12 miles that day. And then I just signed up for a half marathon the next weekend. And I think
Why'd
that's
she
when I
lock you
realized,
out?
I think she didn't know that I was on a run
Oh,
and didn't know
oh,
I
it
didn't have my
wasn't
key.
like
No,
I'm
no, no,
mad
it
at
wasn't
you
purposely.
or
No, 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 no. I think she didn't know that I was on a run and didn't have my key. And so she locked all the doors and I couldn't get in the
gotcha.
house.
So it was like, well, I might as well. That's like a Forrest Gump thing to do. I'll just
Yeah.
keep running.
I think I went to college in Oregon and it was like dumping rain and cold. And I was like, well, I don't want to sit out here. So I just went and kept running. Mm.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I think it was after that half marathon that I was like, oh, this isn't that bad. And it was definitely different than like the sprints on the field with coach screaming at you.
Hmm.
Like it didn't feel like the pressure that I felt to run up and down the field. It was just a little bit more freeing. I think I was a little obsessed with exercise at this time too. And so I think that was
Okay.
part of it as well. I was just like, let's go burn a bunch of calories, which is
Hmm.
not the healthiest mindset to have, but whatever, it got me into it. And then I
Hmm.
ran my first marathon the next year. Yeah, I don't really know.
Are you
Well,
good at running? Like, are you fast?
I'm getting there.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I always was one of the faster ones on any sports
Yeah. Yeah.
teams. I never had the most endurance, but even in college, even I would purposely not hang, but like I still was one of the faster ones on the field.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah. So then ran my first marathon. I signed up for another one a few months later, and I think I just kind of kept signing up for things since then.
Well, but it's one thing to run a marathon. It's another thing to make a jump to ultras
Yeah.
on trails. And how did that happen?
Yeah. So my dad,
It's
my
always
dad
dad's fault.
is always that. He was always a trail runner. He ran Western States, the 100
Yeah.
mile endurance run when I was in high school. We
Okay.
still don't know what happened. I didn't even go watch him finish. I was such like a stubborn high schooler that I was just like, it was like 20 minutes away from the house, the finish. I think I just was like, I think this is lame. I'm not going to come watch you finish, which is another big regret I would say I have now.
Yeah.
So I always saw him doing it. I never thought it was cool when he would do it. But what I think actually kind of got me into it and what actually made me sign up for a marathon a few years ago, I kind of took a pause at running for a while. Like COVID happened and I
Hmm.
had some injuries and stuff and just kind of stopped running. And then I started working with Flahaven Ultra Coaching from the sports psychology perspective. And so I would do some like mental performance sessions with their whole team. And the guy who runs that, Tom Flahaven, he's awesome. He's my coach now. He's one of my dad's best friends. So I knew him all growing up. He's
Okay.
insane runner, coaches all these awesome athletes, phenomenal coach.
Name of the organization?
Flahaven Ultra Coaching.
Full
Team
Haven.
Fook. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And I remember this one session I was doing with them and we were talking about their why and we were kind of just exploring why they do this. And I remember I wasn't running at all at this time and I just left that call feeling so inspired. And I think literally the next week I went and signed up for a marathon again. And I went and did that
Mm.
marathon, but I was training with the team at this time and doing some runs with them. A lot of the people from this team did the marathon, and a lot of them are big ultra runners or trail runners. And they all talked me into signing up for a 50-mile race. And
Okay.
I'm very easily persuaded into things. And so
Okay.
they somehow were just like, do it, it's gonna be so fun. And I signed up for this 50-mile race. And then I only had 2 months to train for it, I think, and it was kind of history
Is
after that.
is that enough, or were you underprepared for the 50 miles?
I was underprepared for sure, but it was
Okay.
fine. I finished. I did well too. I finished well. The only thing that sucked, it was in Steamboat, and I was actually there this weekend, and I was skiing down the run that I remember running down at the
Oh,
finish.
is that right? That's crazy.
Yeah, and I was reminiscing on it sucked so bad because I was feeling so good most of the race. And the last like 10 miles was just this beautiful descent. I remember going up it. I was like, this is gonna be so fun to just bomb down at the finish. And my ankles were like the size of softballs at the end, and I physically could not run anymore. And I just remember like stomping down this hill. I could not even get myself to trot, and I was so mad because I was like, I just want to bomb down this, and I ended up
Yeah.
kind of walking it in the last several miles, which sucked. But
What's the
I
name of
think
that race?
Run Rabbit Run. They
Yeah.
have a
Okay.
big,
That's a
yeah,
famous one.
yeah. So a bunch of people from the team were running the 100-miler, and I signed up for the 50-miler. Yeah,
So
and
it kind of hooked you though at that point.
yeah, I think yeah, I just loved it after that. I love being on trails. I've always loved hiking. I love being out in nature. That was the one issue I had with road running is I'm like, there's nothing to look at sometimes.
Mhm.
This kind of sucks. Feels kind of mundane a little bit, but trails are so just I mean, just so much stuff to look at. It's so fun. Everything's different all the time. And I just remember that race. I was loving it. I mean, it was hard. A lot of it I struggled, but like it was so fun. And I think that's when too I realized that I mean, the fact that I could do that with only 2 months of training, still
Yeah.
run 50 miles, I was like, okay, I might have a little bit of talent here. I might as well see what there is.
Yeah. So how many have you done since then?
Big ones I've done. So I ran my first 100K in October. I did the Lake Sonoma 100K. And then I've done a handful of just random little 50Ks here and there. I did rim to rim to rim with
Oh yeah.
some people in the fall, which was it was 100 degrees that day and horrible. That was the hardest thing. That was probably I will say the hardest thing I've ever done.
Because of the heat.
Yeah. Me and my friend both got some pretty gnarly like not heat stroke maybe, but like we were both feverish and throwing up at the end. I think the last like 2 miles of it, I could only walk a tenth of the mile and then I'd have to sit down on a rock for like 2 minutes and just we were
Good
both
grief.
throwing up and it was horrible. But
Yeah,
yeah.
that can get bad real quick.
Yeah.
So I mean, even in a moment like that, I've had a guest before that explained it. You know, when you're expanding your comfort zone, you go into the growth zone, and the
Yeah.
only way to get there is to push and to put pressure on comfort. But you push too far, and you go from the growth zone to the death zone, right? And
Yeah.
so there, for everybody, there's a different like litmus test for where's the boundary between growth and death.
Yeah.
And in a moment like that, I don't know how bad it was, but you could have been fairly close to that line. So you know, I kind of asked this a little differently earlier. What do you have kind of mechanically in your toolbox that allows you to determine, is this too much? Like, you know, you're almost finished with that rim to rim to rim. Obviously, you want to get it done, but if you're, you know, on death's doorstep and you
Yeah.
need to call for help, you didn't. But how did you know you shouldn't do that?
I think a big thing I love now is that I have a coach to tell me that.
Okay. Yeah,
So I
yeah.
kind of am like, I don't know if you think I need to call it, I will, but if not, and I mean, he wouldn't put anyone's life at risk or anyone's like injury wise too much at risk either. And so
Hmm.
part of me just kind of tries to trust that. I think with that situation too, I mean, I didn't feel like I was close to death. I was just hurting and
Yeah.
didn't feel good. And we were so close to the top part. I mean, it was kind of like there's no other way out but out. So I don't know. I could have
Yeah.
called for help. I would have been embarrassed too. I think that's part of it. Is I refuse to be embarrassed about things, and so I wasn't gonna
Yeah.
let that happen either.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, pride is a double-edged sword. Like it can push and
Yeah.
accomplish and be very helpful a lot of times, but it has a very sharp other edge that
Yeah.
can get us in trouble. So,
Yeah.
you know, and I think I see this a lot in these conversations, that understanding of which side of the sword you're standing on
Yeah.
maybe only comes from experience. And you had a lot of experiences up to that point of how much is enough? How much can I
Yeah.
do? And so it's probably more innate at this point. But, let's go back to your mindset training and the coaching that you do. Do you use mantras, or are you working on your own self-talk through these different moments of doing hard things?
Yeah, I try. I mean, it's, what do they say? Like doctors are their own worst patients or something like
Yes.
that. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
like I think the whole reason I'm in the field that I'm in is because I know I need it a lot, and it's hard. It's really hard to do. And I think especially in ultra running, like your mind is going to go some dark places. And I think to an extent it's inevitable. Like I remember at the end of the Sonoma 100K, the last like 14 miles, I was fine. I was feeling fine, but I was just like mentally spiraling and could not get it to stop. And I was just like, I hate this. I want to be done. I could not stop doing runner's math of like how much longer I had left, like how many miles I had left. And I was trying, I remember I was trying literally every strategy that I've ever told an athlete ever, and none of it was working.
It didn't work.
No.
Jeez.
But part of it too is like that I was also trying to remind myself is like, I'm out here by myself in the dark. I've been running all day. It's like I'm 50 miles in, and yeah, it's gonna suck. And I think that is a big part of it with ultra running, is just having to embrace the fact that it's really hard sometimes, and embrace the fact that your mind might not be in these bright places often, but you have to push through it. You can't let it get the best of you either.
Is that inevitable in something that long distance?
I like to think so. I'd be curious. Yeah. Yeah. I'd be curious if anyone says that they can do that stuff without their mind going dark places.
I've never heard anyone describe it without talking about the dark night of the soul moments, whether it's, an Ironman triathlon or an ultra marathon in the woods, or, I've interviewed people that have bicycled across Europe. And you know what an elliptigo machine is? You ever heard that? It's like a
No.
bicycle that is built like an elliptical machine.
Oh, I feel like I've like seen those. Yeah,
I've never seen them, but I interviewed a guy that rode one of those across the country, coast to coast.
That's crazy.
Yeah. But the point is, all these different pursuits, almost always everyone talks about getting that point of, part of the body saying, this is enough. Like, what are we doing here?
Yeah.
And there has to be an override function. And it sounds like for you, the override, you have some tools in the toolbox that you train people on, that you work on with yourself. Is it sometimes that you just got to keep going, that's the override? Like it's just a matter of time before the thing switches?
That's the override. I think there's no other way.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, I think as many things as you can do to like help change what you're thinking about and redirect your thoughts or change your mindset. Like I think the only thing that is going to get you through it is just by physically pushing through it, and part of it's just like mentally knowing that, I think, can be helpful too. Yeah.
So it's not a surprise or scary or what do I do with this? You know it's coming. You know what, like have a game plan before it hits, and just kind of surviving through the thing.
Yeah.
So for you, when you get to the other side of that, what does that feel like?
I think initially more relief than anything. Like it's
just
not
like a breath of fresh air. Okay, let's go. Keep going.
Yeah. Relief, I'd say, is a big one.
Yeah.
Or it's never like I'm like super excited when I come out of it. I think it's just like, oh, thank goodness I don't have to deal with that anymore.
Yeah. And when you finish these races, what are the kind of the thoughts and feelings that go through your body with the completion of doing something really hard? And where I'm going with this question is, is it oh my gosh, I can't believe I just did that, or are you already thinking about planning the next thing? Right?
No, usually not planning the next thing. It's usually, I feel like for me, it's usually after the race, I'm like, I'm not doing that again. And then I wake up the next morning and it's fine. But
okay, gotcha.
I feel like usually after the race, even when I am like super proud and super excited, I'm just so beat and like nauseous and need food and need water. And I feel like there's nothing, like I'm so physically exhausted that I'm mentally exhausted too and can't even really. I don't even really process it. I feel like all the like big hard races I've had, it's not even like I'm that excited at the end. I'm just like, okay,
Yeah.
we're done.
Was rim to rim to rim an organized race or just something you did with some friends?
Just something we did. Me, my dad, my coach, Tom, and then one of my friends, and then another couple as well. We all did it together.
You just did it recently?
Yeah, this was in September.
Oh, that's
For
cool.
my dad's birthday, actually, on his birthday,
Oh.
which is fun. Yeah.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Great way to
Yeah.
spend a birthday.
Yeah.
What is, my earbuds are dying here, so let me make sure I can still hear you. So give me just a second.
Yeah.
All right, that should be good to go there. What is 100K? I think you said this earlier. Is that the furthest you've gone so far?
Yes. Yeah.
What are your goals? Like, do you have an idea in mind of something that is longer than you've ever done before that would be your next big challenge?
Yeah. I want to do a 100-miler. I think my plan's to do one in 2026 for sure. My goal is to get into Western states eventually, so I'd love to do that. I would love to also get a good time in it too. I'd like to push myself a little bit, not just finish.
That'd be interesting because you've been on a lot of the trails probably that the races run on. Is that true?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of them.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people go out there and it's totally unfamiliar ground, but you'd kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. And cool, like just cool with my dad too. Cool to have him pace me and stuff for that as well.
Yeah.
I kind of want to do all the big like name races. Like I'd love to do Leadville. I really would like to do Hard Rock, but that feels like a stretch right now. So I'm just kind of playing it out, taking it year by year. I'm doing another 100K, a much tougher one at the end of July. And so that's going to be my big race this year. And then next year, hopefully tackle the 100-miler.
Why does Hard Rock feel like a stretch? Because it's hard to get into, or it's just a tough course?
Tough course. And also hard to get into, but more stretch. Like I know I could do it if I trained for it, but just like a bitch of a course.
Yeah.
Which feels fun to me. But
the scenery that I've seen in pictures from that course is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Would you consider doing anything in Europe?
Sure. Yeah. I'll do whatever.
Yeah.
I'm kind of trying to get focused on getting a bit faster right now because part of me wants to feel competitive with them too. I want to show up at things and do well and not just finish them.
What's the hardest part of the ultras for you? Is it mental, physical, nutrition? What do you find is the biggest challenge?
I'd say the training is the hardest part for me. Just having to commit a lot of time to it and every single weekend and like making the time for it. And again, like a lot of my team is out in California and I'm here in Colorado. And so a lot of miles by myself, which is hard. I think that's big picture, the hardest part, but I like it too.
Do you have a group in Colorado that you can run with, or is it totally on your own?
Pretty on my own. I have friends that'll run with me. None of them run quite as far, so I'll kind of have a meetup at the end of a run or something. I probably could go out of my way to find some people too, but I haven't done that. So
yeah. Where in Denver are you? Are you like closer to the mountains?
Yeah, I'm on the west side of the city. I'm in Jefferson Park, right by the Broncos Stadium.
I gotcha.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So pretty good trail system, fairly close to you up into the mountains.
Yeah. I get a little spooked running by myself sometimes too. Just animals or crazy people. So
I'm sure there's plenty of both out there.
Yeah.
Do you have a particular time of day that you like to run?
I love early mornings. I've learned to not go at dawn as much because that's when the animals are out. I had a pretty freaky bear encounter last summer, which
Did you really?
Yeah.
What kind of bear?
I mean, it was fun. A brown bear, a black bear or something. I don't know. I would have been fine, but I just remember it was barely light out. I was still using my headlamp. I hadn't seen a soul all morning, and I like turned the corner and there's a baby bear right in front of me, and like the bushes are all rustling next to me with I think the mom in there somewhere.
Oh my god!
And it was fine, but I just booked it out of there.
Yeah.
And ever since then, I'm like, okay, I need to not do that by myself.
Yeah. So how does this translate into your coaching? Like, talk to me a little
Yeah.
bit about the athletes that you work with and how you leverage your psychology masters to try to raise their performance level.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think in terms of like the ultra running and all the other stuff that I do, I love that it gives me a perspective on everything, and not that I want to just like take my experience and push it onto other people, but I think what really helps me is just also staying involved and understanding from a first-hand perspective what performance anxiety feels like, what it feels like to not be confident, what it feels like to have all these
Mhm.
other issues that I know most people deal with, whether it be work-wise or anything else. But
Mhm.
I feel like it gives me, not that athletes I work with need this, but I feel like it feels like I have more credibility to talk about these
Yeah.
things because
Yeah.
I experience it often. So I think from my performance side of things, that's what I love about it. But yeah,
I
what else?
think,
Sorry, you asked more
yeah, I think
questions.
that I've heard people, you alluded to this a minute ago, but I've heard people, specifically scientists, talking about their research is more me search.
Yeah,
Right. I mean, and you said you got into psychology because there's a lot working on yourself that you find you're able to do as you're, probably pursuing your studies. And then even in talking to other athletes, it sometimes I would imagine it might be like looking in a mirror. Like it's somebody
yeah,
else sitting there, but they're saying stuff back to you that you're like, yeah, I think that same thing.
yeah.
And so do you get like, are there gains for you that come out of relationships with the athletes that you work with?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean the big thing is it just fills me up so much feeling like I can help these other people and push them towards their goals, and it
Yeah.
really does feel so fulfilling. I think selfishly it feels really good to help an athlete push through some of this stuff and find some
Yeah.
success, and feeling like I can play a little part of it feels amazing. It also feels really good. I know, like I work mostly with high schoolers, and I love working with high schoolers. I love kids, and so for me, high school was a really shitty time. I hated high school, and so it's really fun, and it feels just like I'm helping a lot to be able
Yeah.
to help athletes through these things and really tap into how their sport can benefit their lives overall. I think that's, as much as I talk about how to get them to perform at their best, ultimately for me, getting them to have a better connection with sport in their life is what I love to do.
That's cool. Tell me a little bit more about why high school was difficult. Was the sports side of it that was just, it wasn't a real connection, or the academics or the relationships? What was it that made high school not super fun?
Mostly relationships. Like high school girls are just horrible, and
I hear that a lot.
it sucked. And I was one of them too. Like it just sucked. And for me, lacrosse was like my outlet from it. It was my happy
I
place, and it
gotcha.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
it was the one thing that kind of gave me purpose in high school. And so I love helping athletes find that connection for themselves, or if it
Mhm.
feels the opposite, where their sport feels like it's lacking or pulling from that area, helping them figure out how to rework that so it can be that fulfilling thing that I know it should be.
Yeah. Did you have somebody like that when you were playing in high school?
No one super specific. I think I've been super lucky to have always had really amazing coaches that really poured into
Okay.
me. And so I think that was kind of the big thing. And I don't have like one specific coach who changed everything for me, but all the coaches over the years, I think, had a really, really big role in that.
Yeah. I mean, coaches are in such a unique, special, valuable place in the life of
Yeah.
the kids. And I had some really bad ones. I played baseball, but there were a few good ones. And to this day, I still remember, like I can picture them in my head, right? I
Yeah.
mean, mannerisms, things they said,
Yeah.
and that's, it's a high calling to be able to do that. What's your longer term professional goal with that? Do you see yourself staying in the high school realm, both coaching and your training work, or do you want to morph that into something different?
I kind of like what I'm doing. I think I also love the college athletes that I get to work with too. I do love the ones who are a little more like, I don't have this goal to work with professional athletes necessarily or anything.
Hmm.
I mean, I would, but I like them who are working towards kind of the next steps with things. And
Yeah.
ultimately, what's really cool right now is my schedule is pretty full with athletes, and I'm pretty at capacity, which I love and is awesome. I would love to
Yeah.
be able to have some more consultants working under me and help train them up with what I do so that I can reach even more athletes. So that's ultimately my goal with that.
Gotcha. So staying all in on sports, it sounds like that's career plans.
I think so for now.
Yeah, that's a fun way to do it.
I know.
And I'm sure you'll get like energy from that to then turn around and do something with it personally through ultras or skiing, or is there any other like athletic feat that you enjoy doing? Or is it mostly those two things?
Mostly those two things. Yeah.
Do you see, after running trails for as long as you have, will you go run on asphalt again?
Yeah.
See, I mean, I haven't done super long distance on trails, but I have no interest in running on the road.
I mean, yeah, I get that. I don't really have an interest to. I think my goal is to keep getting faster, and I kind of need a little bit of road to help with that.
Yeah, I need flat ground. That makes sense. I don't like doing that kind of work, running work.
Yeah,
I'd rather just go play in the woods and be out there for a little while.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Have any of these races you've done, have you done well enough to place in like top 3 or top 5, or is that what you're trying to reach?
I've had a few random top 5-ish finishes, but like definitely smaller races, nothing big. But I think that's when I've started realizing that I actually have some talent in this.
Yeah.
It's hard on trails. You don't really know how fast it is compared to like road. It's like you're either hitting the paces or you're not. Trails, it feels very different. I'm trying to think. I think I ran a trail marathon last spring, and I barely trained for that, and I came in 5th out of like 80 or something. So not like thousands, but still. And I think after that, I was like, okay, I can do well at this. And then same thing, a month later, I had a 50K, and I think I finished 4th. Same thing, only 50 or something people. And I had a bad race then too. I did not feel good during it or after it, and I finished 4th. And that's when I kind of realized I had a little bit more talent in it.
Yeah, that's super fun. I don't think I'll ever have that experience.
I mean, it's harder with guys too. I mean,
yeah, there's some fast dudes out there that are just like mountain goats. I mean, I don't have that in me, but there's actually, are you familiar with Barclay marathons in Tennessee?
Yeah.
That's not too far from where I'm at. And
that's awesome.
That is a wild race. And most people don't think Tennessee, big mountains, but the elevation gain over that race is something unbelievable.
What is it? So you climb Everest 4 times or something?
Yeah. It's something crazy like that. And, it's the reason they had a federal penitentiary back and tucked in the mountains, because you can't get out. Like it is that remote. So anyway, I'm not sure why I brought that up, but I have no interest in going and doing Barclay.
I had a little phase. I had like a week phase where I was like, I'm going to do it one day. And
Are you serious?
I have no desire to do that.
Yeah, it's a race of a different breed for sure. Yeah. But you've probably experienced this, or you tell me if you agree with this, but it seems like the people that are in this environment are just a unique kind of person, and down to earth, salt to the earth kind of people. Certainly come from a wide range of backgrounds, but they just seem to kind of be earthy people. I don't know. I don't know how else to describe it. Would you agree with that, with what you've been around?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love it. I think it's really cool. I think one super interesting thing with the work that I do too is I've worked with several ultra runners over the years as well, from the sports psychology perspective of things. It's so interesting. I truly have found that anyone who does any sort of ultra running knows how to push through things and does not need the sports psychology help as much as most other sports.
Oh, really? Really?
Yeah, it's what I thought. And maybe some ultra runner listening to this is going to be like, I wildly disagree with that. But and like, I'm sure same thing with triathlons and stuff like that. I think something about whatever it is that draws people to this, they know how to push through it. They know how to deal with this hard stuff. They know how to be confident when they need it. They know how to stay focused when they need to. It's just interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I've interviewed a lot of people that have done, like a buddy of mine competes Ironman 17.3. He's almost 50 and he's competing in the world championships year after year.
Awesome.
but he did Ultraman Florida, which is like a double full Ironman over 3 days,
Oh my God.
and won. He won the whole thing.
That's
And
amazing.
he has a training coach, but he doesn't have anybody working in his headspace. And I think part of that that I've seen with all these kind of endurance folks is they've spent so much time in the pain cave by
Yes.
themselves that they've figured out their way through.
Yeah.
I think I'm thinking now, like your work in the high school space, those kids haven't had the time to do that.
No,
So they would have no way of having that tool in the toolbox. So
yeah.
does it feel like you're working with like very moldable clay when you're working with kids like that?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, at least the ones I like to work with are really high achievers and have these big goals and truly know that they need help getting there.
Mm-hmm.
Versus, yeah, I think that's such a solid point, is like all these endurance athletes or other big sports like that, they've been forced into experiences where they have to deal with it on their own. Like they
Mhm.
don't have the support, whereas kids are kind of not handed things, but have
Mhm.
people helping them with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. I see this a lot too, that nothing worthwhile is free. Like,
Yeah.
and with physical feats, the price of admission a lot of times is suffering.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes the suffering to get to the reward, and you got to do it over and over again for a long time to figure out your way through. So I've never really, and I guess I haven't been around high school sports enough to think about sports psychology in that realm. I certainly hear about it in college level some, and then certainly
Mhm.
professional athletes, and especially the ones that you see like high performing and then all of a sudden they bonk.
Yeah.
And you're
Yeah.
like, what is going on? And usually it's something between the ears.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's really interesting to me that your work is with that moldable clay, and that it's
Yeah.
kind of giving you energy too when you pursue things that are challenging for you. What you mentioned some of the races you want to do, but why do you want to continue to do that? What is it that ultimately that you get out of doing these 100K or 100-mile races that you don't get from something else in your life?
I think I think there's I think it's a very direct way to push myself. Like I have something very clear that I'm working towards, and I can either do
Mhm.
it or not do it. I feel like work wise, I push myself a lot. It doesn't feel as like black and white to me. And I like having these like big goals to do. I mean, not that this motivates everything I do. I like being the person where people are like, "Oh, you run ultras? That's so
Mm-hmm.
cool."
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like I've
Yeah,
always
I
kind
do
of
hard
liked having,
things.
yeah, yeah. And I like having something, again, just to work towards and something to
Mhm.
constantly like have to keep me working. I think, again, because of my like lack that I felt with my lacrosse career, sometimes I get like FOMO of my super elite athletes that I work
Yeah,
with
yeah.
who are getting committed to these big D1 schools and having to prioritize like all these different areas of their life to make it line up with that. And I think that ultra running is a good way for me to put my FOMO into something I can actually
Yeah, yeah.
practice and live my life and do. Gives me some structure, which I think I love. And I love feeling as fit as I do when I can go run 62 miles straight. Feels good.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, even though you don't have a super tight community in Colorado, you've got, it sounds like you've got a group in California that
Mhm.
you're training kind of alongside with, and do you does a sense of community resonate with you, or are you kind of like, this is still like my thing?
No, it definitely does.
It does. Okay.
And I think that's the reason that keeps me pushing to like that whole group. Everyone in that group wants to do Western States. I think that's a big reason I want to do it too, is
I
just
gotcha.
the community behind it. And
Yeah.
I mean, I flew home back to California 3 weeks ago to do a 50K with that team. 2 weeks ago, maybe. Yeah, just 2 weeks ago to run a 50K with the team. And I could have just ran a 50K here if I wanted, but being
Yeah.
able to go be with them is one of my favorite things.
Is this the Full Haven Ultra team, or is
Yeah.
this a different name? Okay. All
So
right.
Haven.
So
Yeah.
How big is this group?
He has probably like 200
Oh my gosh.
athletes, but usually I think he had like 35 running the 50K we did a few weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
And there's kind
and
of a big group who does like the same trail stuff and we'll train together.
so you've gotten, I mean, have you gotten to know these folks fairly well? Like
Yeah.
consider them friends and
Yeah, absolutely. They're some of my favorite people ever.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, that sense of community and connection, I see that a lot too. I mean, and
Yeah.
especially in some of these things like triathlon or ultra
Yeah.
running or that aren't necessarily team sports, you know, and I think a lot of people look at it and go, well, that person did this amazing thing, you know, on their own. They use their own two legs. But what also seems to me to be pretty consistent is that no one ever does any of these things on their own. Like,
Yeah.
even if it's a solo climb of a mountain face, you've got maybe a coach, you've got a spouse or a family that has supported you doing this thing, that it's never truly a solo feat.
Yeah.
But I think the question I'll ask you is, do you consider yourself an introvert or extrovert? Do you identify?
Extrovert.
You are
For sure.
extroverted?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you know, it makes sense that seeking that connection and surrounding yourself while you're doing the thing that you want to do with other people.
Yeah.
I'm a pretty committed introvert. And so those things, you know, sometimes I really have a draw towards the solitude.
Hmm.
But the dangerous part for me is that if I do that too much, it becomes isolation.
Yeah.
And there's still, you know, a part of this introvert that still wants the connection, still wants the community
Yeah.
around the thing that I'm spending time doing, just not too much. You
Yeah.
know, so-
Yeah.
But it's cool because it takes all kinds. Like there's all
Yeah.
kinds of different personalities that show up and do these things, and plenty of room for all of us. So
Yeah. Yeah.
well,
Absolutely.
tell me, you know, we'll kind of put a bow on this here in a few minutes, but when you think about the next 10 years of your life, and I'm not going to ask you how old you are, just the next 10 years, whatever that decade looks like, what do you want Jess 10 years from now to be, to have accomplished and to have become over that time period?
Big question.
Yeah.
A lot of things. I don't know. I mean, I feel like this is probably a flaw of mine, but I try to just kind of live in the present and not think too much about what I'm
Yeah.
want to, not that I don't want to set goals and stuff, but I think I don't spend as much time as I maybe should thinking about what I want out of the next several years or what I want to look back and be able to reflect on. I think I mean, want to keep doing the things that I'm doing, keep working hard, both work wise and with the ultra running stuff. I want to run a few more really big races. I want to keep building a name for myself in the sports psychology world and be able to reach as many athletes as I possibly can. I would really love to help some of my athletes get to some really cool places,
Mhm.
which I mean, it just feels so exciting over the last several years as well, just to see the athletes I have been able to work with get from point A to point B. And I want to keep being able to see that stuff and keep seeing how much I can push other people too. I think that's ultimately what I want.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty clear to me that brings you a lot of life.
Yeah.
You get a lot of energy out of doing that thing you call a job,
Yeah. Yeah.
which usually means you've found the right place. And then doing it over and over again is what it brings a lot to your life, but it brings mastery too.
Yeah.
You do it for long enough that like you will be the expert on
Yeah.
that thing. And I love your answer too, because I tried to put you in a box of give me an answer of what you look like 10 years from now. And you're like, no, I don't think I'm going to do that.
Sorry.
I think that's a very fair answer because a lot of, and I fit this bill so many times where like hard charging, striver, accomplisher, the goals get in the way of
Yeah.
being alive right now.
Yeah.
The future orientedness, or even the past orientedness of, man, I screwed that thing up. I could have done so much better. Like all of that takes away from being alive right now and enjoying the moment that we're in. So I actually like your answer better than anything
Thank
I was
you.
trying to come out. That was great.
And I think I try to know and trust too that I keep if I keep working hard at the things I know I'm supposed to, it's going to play out exactly how it's supposed to too. And I try to put a lot of faith in that too.
Yeah. So anybody that's listening to this that may be pursuing adventure at one level or another, wearing your sports psychology hat, what are some things you would say, or maybe some tools or resources that you might give to somebody to try to take their mind game to another level?
Yeah. In terms of the adventure sport athletes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think do some research and try to find if it wants to be at the point to find someone to talk to about this stuff. I mean, again, like you could read a book and slap some ideas on it. I don't think it's going to necessarily fix or change anything, but I think talking to anyone who has some sort of background in this can be so good at helping them uncover the big stuff behind it. It's funny, like there are a lot of great books out there. I haven't read a lot of them because I feel like so much of my life is doing this stuff. I'm like, if I'm going to be reading something, I want it. Yeah. But I know like Inner Game of Tennis is one that people love. There's a few other just like mindset or mindfulness books. I think a big thing that I always love to teach athletes to do are the ideas behind mindfulness. And so any sort of mindfulness training is something that, especially for runners, being able to embrace where you're at and put your mind on things that feel more helpful can be one of the best things. And so even things like meditation, I know feels somewhat woo-woo to some people, but can be so helpful for just training the mind. And so putting some intention behind it is one of the biggest things that I always encourage people to do.
For somebody that maybe hasn't had any experience with mindfulness or meditating, what's a good entry point for that? Do you have any suggestions?
Yeah, there's an app called Headspace, which I love. The few times that I meditate, I use that app, which I think has some very just simple guided meditations on things that can feel applicable. Like it can just be like stress in your workday and it'll guide you through 2 minutes of something to be thinking about for that. And so things that feel a little more simple. I think people think of meditation or mindfulness as just sit there and be quiet and don't listen to anything. And that can be really hard to do for some people. And so I think another big area of mindfulness that I love having, especially adventure athletes do, is visualization. And so visualizing the things that they want can be both good practice to just see themselves accomplishing things and build some confidence with it. But then also it's such a good way to be able to clear your mind, stay focused on something, let thoughts come in, redirect them back to what you're thinking about and stay focused from that perspective. And so I love encouraging athletes to do that.
Yeah, that's kind of like cognitive behavioral therapy, being able to is that kind of in the same vein of what you're talking about?
Visualization?
Well, the idea of being able to like step outside of your thoughts and think about what you're trying to do.
Yeah. That like when you try to reframe thoughts or like think about what you're thinking about, that's kind of CBT. It's funny, I kind of fall. The two big ones are CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, and then acceptance and commitment therapy, which are kind of different from a sense. Acceptance and commitment therapy is a lot more of accepting your thoughts and acknowledging them for what they are.
Yeah.
Put them on a leaf and watch it float down the river, that kind of stuff. And
yeah.
I kind of had this theory that I've adopted a little bit that I work with a lot of athletes on, where it's when you're on the field or in the middle of a race or in the middle of an adventure, trying to embrace that act mindset of acknowledging how you're feeling, embracing how you're feeling and moving on with it, versus taking all this time and energy to rework through things. Cause I think that can be what kind of can lead to that mental spiral a little bit.
Yeah.
And then off the field, it's important to embrace some of the redirecting CBT side of things, or reframing, so that you can dive into your thoughts a little bit more, think about where they're coming from, try to reframe them that can feel more positive.
Yeah. So the visualization piece prior to being in the adventure or the sport or whatever, I mean, I guess that it doesn't exactly line up with the act thought process, but what have you found is the really true advantage between, or the true advantage from visualizing the outcome that you want?
I think it depends on the purpose someone's doing it. I think from it can lead to a lot of motivation or increase of self-belief by just seeing yourself do it and believing that you can. I think some comfortability in it too, watching things that can feel super nerve-wracking and going through it in your head and finding some comfortability in those things. I think that's I think a lot of people just talk about visualization as like it's going to make you believe that you can do it, which is true. But I think that comfortability piece can be one of the biggest pieces of it. Is just adding
Yeah.
some normalcy to it.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's a lot of solid data behind the, the basic idea that whatever you believe is true,
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
if you think something's going to go a certain way, it probably will. If you think you're capable of not doing something, you're probably not going to be capable of doing it.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's extremes to that, just because I think I can lift a 3,000 pound boulder
Yeah.
doesn't mean I'm going to be able to lift a 3,000 pound boulder.
Yeah.
But within a certain range, the point I think that's becoming clearer and clearer in today's world is that the mind is a powerful, powerful engine
Yeah.
that either we embrace for the direction that we want to head in, or we don't, and it potentially works against us.
Yeah.
And so super cool that you're in the middle of that. You're calling people up to a higher level through taking control of their mind and not being controlled by it.
Mm-hmm.
So love to hear that. And so you mentioned this a second ago. If people want to find someone like you, or even find Jess Hanson to work with, what's the best way to find you online? Where are you located? But even more generally, if they're wanting to search for someone maybe in their area of the country, how would somebody go about doing that?
Yeah. So for me specifically, my business is called Cognelite. So we're online at Cognelite, which is COGNELITE.net. We're on Instagram and all that stuff too. My email is jhanson@cognelite.net. So if anyone wants to reach out directly to me. But then in terms of finding other professionals who do this, so the Association for Applied Sports Psychology has a directory of CMPCs. And so if you go to, I think it's appliedsportspsych.net, CMPC is the one kind of certification that we have where you have to have your master's and have to get a certain amount of hours that we're trying to make as standard as possible. Yeah. And so there's a directory on there where people can go look up other sports psychology professionals in their area or remotely. And I know there are a handful who specifically work with adventure athletes and that sort of stuff as well. I think the one thing I always caution people to be a little careful with is there's a lot of people who kind of claim to be like mindset coaches or life coaches out there or whatever, who don't have as much of the psychological background on the side of things. And again, not that it's going to be harmful to do that stuff, but
this might be a waste of time.
A little bit. Yeah.
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 So how is it really a matter of like, okay, you have a master's, you do not? Like, is that the distinction, or is there some other way to know if you're working with a true professional?
Yeah, I think the master's, the certification is good because with our certification, you need a master's degree in the certain classes that you need. Plus, I think it's 600 hours of direct client work that is all supervised. And I think that's the big thing that differentiates us between like a life coach or a mindset coach or whatever is we have the training in the actual psychology of things. And so versus just, again, slapping a Band-Aid on it by giving some tool that we read on a book, we know how to talk and work with people to uncover what needs to and tailor it to them specifically.
Yeah, I mean, that's super important. Anytime, you're allowing someone else to jump into your brain.
Yeah.
I think all of us should take caution with that and be very careful about who we let in.
Yeah.
At the same time, trying to find a qualified professional that can help for many people is a true godsend, like a real lifesaver in a lot of ways. So that's great. I'll put all of those kind of website links in the show notes, and hopefully you get some interest from our audience, and we'll, I'll watch for you in some of these races and follow you on Instagram, see if what you post for your next thing. So Jess, I appreciate you doing this.
Thank you.
Yeah, this has been great, and I look forward to doing it again at some point in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much, Josh. This is awesome.
All right, thanks for listening. And I sincerely mean that because I'm extremely grateful that you choose to spend this time with me. I don't take it for granted, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you want more content like this, be sure to check out material on my website at ridgelinewealthadvisors.com. That's advisors with an ORS. And sign up for my monthly newsletter, The Money Trail Guide, which you can find on the blog page. Until next time, I hope you pursue your own great adventure.